Hey everyone, lots of love and regards to each one of you, and a very warm welcome to all the new subscribers. It's exactly 3:33 a.m., and right in the middle of the night, I have decided to record this message because I was very strongly guided to do so. And from the title, you can obviously know that this is not really a reading but a chat or a message or, an update that I felt guided to share with each one of you. And the main message here is obviously around the fact that why are narcissists so attracted to empaths or vice versa. And obviously, because we are twin flames and so many of us are highly sensitive to emotions, to people, to energies, and so many of us are empaths and highly intuitive people. Some of us really, are like a sponge that draws in the energy, and especially if it happens to be a negative energy, it really takes a toll on us. And what I'm trying to say is that it's not humanly possible that as a twin flame we have not come across a narcissist person in our entire life. If not more than once, for sure once in our life we have certainly encountered a person who really blew our emotional well-being and took a major toll on our our overall peace of mind, frame of mind, and perhaps made us feel like shit, or made us feel extremely vulnerable and broken, and played with our kindness and stuff like that. And I obviously don't need to state what the characteristics of a narcissist are, but for the benefit of those who have been tolerating abusive persons or relations unknowingly and not knowing the term, so to say, narcissist, but being in a highly toxic situation, which I'm sure a lot of you have been in one or more such relations in the last few years or in your entire life. It is very important to understand that what is the psychology or the the background on the basis of which a narcissist operates, and why they are able to feed onto your ego and play with your emotions. And all I want to say is that there are two things here. uh, it's not necessary that only the love of your life or a boyfriend or a husband has to be a narcissist. You could have a friend who is an extremely toxic person. A friend could be a narcissist. It could be your sibling, it could be your mother, it could be your father. I mean, it could be any person at the workplace, in your love life, or in your family, someone who is an extremely toxic person and abusive, maybe not physically, but emotionally and mentally. And by the way, when someone is emotionally and mentally abusive, that is far more uh, hurtful and far more damaging than what a real physical wound can do. And in some unfortunate cases, it is a combination of physical, mental, and emotional abuse. Now, each person's situation is different, but there is a common trend. It is very commonly seen that narcissists are often attracted to empaths or vice versa. And the reason that happens is because by nature, empaths are extremely sensitive, caring, beautiful, kind, and compassionate people. Empath's purpose in life is to, and especially if you happen to be a twin flame, your purpose in life is to essentially share your light and spread your light and heal people, with your gifts and with that compassionate energy and the beautiful energy that you possess. But the downside of being an empath, especially if you don't know how to balance your energies, is that empaths often struggle to create healthy boundaries for themselves, and giving in to a martyr like feeling, or feeling victimized by such narcissistic relationships, and getting into heavily codependent habits and behaviors. And when I say codependency, codependency is not really restricted to or limited to drugs or smoking and alcohol. I mean, You could have a codependency around anything that's unhealthy, basically, for your health, for your physical and emotional well being. And in other words, while it is a huge blessing to be an empath, but it can also be an extremely big curse if you don't know how to channel your energies and to ground and balance yourself. Because then what happens is that anybody's negative behavior and anybody's toxic energies will be very easily impacted and caught on by you. And when you'll not know how to not let that impact you, it can create a havoc, and it can really make you feel very vulnerable, completely broken, trapped, victimized, and feeling absolutely helpless. Now the reason why narcissists are so attracted to empaths, I was actually reading an article, and interestingly, a narcissist himself ended up stating certain points. But before I state those points, what I do want to mention is that narcissists are people who are basically having an extremely low self esteem. So they hide behind a very idealized self image, and they come across or try to present themselves as someone highly charming and attractive. And at the same time, while the exterior might look very beautiful, but from inside they are such hollow, indifferent, emotionally closed off and self-centered people that it can really, it really comes across as a huge irony that you feel that, wow, I wish this person was as beautiful on the inside as they appear to be on the outside. And I was reading a very interesting quote that says that narcissists don't want love, they only want attention. If they cannot get positive attention, they will take negative attention. If they can't have your admiration, they will accept your rage. But they have to provoke some sort of a response from you, and that is their ultimate goal, to provoke a response, any damn response, as long as you get triggered. And when you get triggered as an empath, or when you sulk, or when you start craving for their attention, it gives them such a high that, the feeling of owning you, or the feeling of having power over you, and seeing you as someone weak, emotional, gullible, someone who can be easily manipulated. I mean, that is what which really drives them and gives them a major satisfaction. So, the main difference between someone, now obviously that's resulting from a fact that, honestly, if you ask me, they're already such broken people that you don't even, other than huge amounts of pity and seeing them as someone extremely mentally sick, there is nothing else that you can say much, okay? And the best and the most, I would say, ideal solution to tackle such people is to cut yourself off immediately. Now, obviously, each person's situation is different. Sometimes you are married to a person who is narcissistic in behavior, or it's not possible to immediately cut off. But once I have shared the points with you, that's when I will share what are the things we can do to basically deal with a narcissist person. And especially, what is most important to understand is that the more you as the empath, someone who's dealing with a narcissist, the more you perceive yourself to be a victim of narcissism, that's when the less capable you'll become of truly owning your own personal power as an empath. So, a big part of owning to your personal power and letting go of that victimhood or helplessness is, first of all, to learn how to identify what drives a person who is having such toxic tendencies, or what drives a narcissist to behave that way, right? So, in the words of a narcissist himself, here are a bunch of reasons that they feel attracted to an empath, okay? The first reason that this person mentions is that empaths are easier to manipulate because they fight for their loved ones till the end. They don't give up and they keep on running and coming back for explanations. And when they are ignored, they, whether it's the empath's mistake or not, they will go on making efforts to apologize, to do things to please them. And as long as they get that attention and validation and importance and apologies, even if they have not done anything wrong, that gives them a huge satisfaction. The second point mentioned by this person is that an empath will sacrifice everything for them, which includes their dignity, their self love, their self respect, self esteem. And a narcissist feeds on people's self esteem to regulate their own esteem. And this is a huge point to think of because it clearly shows how hollow and sick this person's mentality is. When someone is stating this, being a narcissist, when someone is clearly stating that the reason they are so attracted to an empath is because an empath has no dignity, self love, and self respect or self esteem, instead of, appreciating the other person's compassionate, kind, and loving heart, they are seeing that as a huge downside, okay? Making it look like you have no self respect. Now, I do understand the fact that you might be coming from an extremely loving and caring place, because we as healers and as empaths and as twin flames, we don't want to destroy a beautiful relationship. We always think that, okay, what can I do to save this relationship, or what can I do to ensure that it does not fall apart? But it's good to make one, two, three, or max four efforts. Now, four is the highest if it's like a very close relationship, like your husband, or like your family or someone. But I don't think, other than someone extremely close, nobody deserves more than three chances or two chances, frankly speaking. So the logic is that whatever you might be doing out of love or in an attempt to heal someone, that is being misconstrued as you having no respect, no self respect, and no dignity. And that is a huge point to be considered by any person who's listening to this message. And it's like a wake up call that you please sit back and analyze your life, your situation, and your behaviors. That what you're doing, is it out of love? Is it out of neediness? And how are you being perceived? How many attempts have you made? The third reason mentioned is that empaths are trustworthy personalities, and they will share way too early and won't let go very easily. So when the narcissist starts to devalue, he or she, the empath, will have a hell lot of fun controlling the empath and extracting the emotions out of this person. And in other words, they love playing mind games. So when they end up creating any sort of a trigger in you, and then they just sit back and they don't respond, when you go nuts, when you as the empath, you go nuts trying to get their attention, call, email, text, it really gives them such a huge blow to their ego. It's almost like a sadistic pleasure that they derive seeing you feel absolutely hassled. In other words, an empath is an easy prey for them that lasts much longer than they anticipate. And also, empaths trust people way too quickly. And some of the other reasons that this person, who himself is a narcissist, and obviously he's mentioned these points as an anonymous person, he's written that they know that in the long run, empaths won't speak up even after all the abuse, and they will just remain stuck in the relationship and continue to endure the abuse, even when they know that the person is a liar or a manipulator. So, I mean, when I read these things coming from a narcissist himself, it just made me feel very sad and to some extent disgusted. And I mean, I just felt pity at the same time that, I mean, what kind of mentality is this? Empaths, according to the next point, love, they love, they care, they value, they appreciate the person with all their heart, and they tend to hold on to the illusion that is presented to them by the narcissist. So when the narcissist starts to devalue the empath and finds a new victim, you know the kind of reaction that is coming their way, it again drives the empath nuts. And when the empath gets no closure as to why they behaved in a certain way, it just makes them very happy, to see the other person suffer. They use the empath as their punching bag, sharing everything from themselves, and the empath will listen patiently and be a monkey who fulfills all their needs and dances when they clap their hands. And I thought this was a very disrespectful way of treating, or looking at an empath. And the last 3 points mentioned by this person who's obviously trying to remain anonymous, he's written that a narcissist will do anything to belittle the empath and everything will be tolerated. They can use the empath anytime they need for a quick fix or for a longer relationship when they are back, and the empath will do everything as per their whims and fancies but never put their foot down. Also, the last two things that I see written by this person is that love does not, the word love and emotions, they don't exist for a narcissist person. So if you love them, they will hate you most likely because they never love themselves. They need all the admiration, adulation, attention to feel good, because their self esteem gets a huge blow, a major high. So, an empath loving them is impossible because they don't trust their own selves, and that's why they are so cold hearted and, almost disrespectful in their behavior, because the last point says that empaths tend to act with feelings and heart rather than their head. And that's a big turn on for the narcissist, because then they can abuse you longer. Now, this in a nutshell is what is the mindset of a narcissist. But what is important is that after listening to all these points, I'm sure whether you were in a abusive relationship with someone or you are currently dealing with someone, the main thing to understand is that you have to not feel that there is some fault in you, and you don't have to let uh, any sort of a blame come into your aura. On the contrary, your immediate step of action, I mean your immediate plan of action should be that how can you stop reacting to this person. It's not just about, if you operate from a place of anger and hatred, it will still give them a lot of sadistic pleasure. So the best way to deal with a narcissist is to gently, diplomatically, but in a very firm way, set your standards and put your foot down and not entertain their crap anymore. Because when they see that you are not, you're not being controlled and you are not being triggered anymore, that will seriously drive them nuts. And this is a tried and tested technique which you can read about and which you can check with people who have dealt with emotionally abusive men or women. But the fact is that, we are beings of light, we are beings of love. And while it is a beautiful thing to be a light worker, to be a healer and a twin flame, it also can be extremely heartbreaking when our kindness and when our compassion and when our need to heal the planet or spread love is seen as an an attempt to basically not respect ourselves enough. And like I said, that's never the case. So unless it's someone extremely close to you, You did your best, tried 2 times, 3 times, but beyond that, it's really not acceptable. And the reason why they call it self love and self respect and self worth is because it starts with the self, right? So, if you want a typically narcissist person to respect you, which most likely will never happen because they are such manipulative and broken people from within that they cannot think beyond themselves, you will ultimately sooner or later be cutting off from them. That's the only solution. The lucky ones get to disconnect quickly, but those who are unfortunately stuck for a longer period of time, for your own sanity, it is very important that you stop giving any importance to that person. And even if it hurts you from inside, you have to train yourself to not their bullshit, crap, abuse, or any of the negativity, toxic emotions that they throw your way. You just don't have to accept that. You have to, every day practice shielding techniques. You have to, give the absolute silent treatment. Even if the worst shit is spoken, you just walk away or you don't react. In the beginning, it might feel tough because at the end of the day, we are human beings, and being sensitive, you do feel very hurt, especially if the hurt is coming from someone you love. But you have to understand that you have a bigger purpose in life, and your purpose cannot be put on the back burner, and you cannot play with your life, or you cannot be so careless about your own self that you let someone so toxic put you down, bring your self esteem down, or you cannot afford to put your life on hold because of someone who's never perhaps going to value you. You know, had you been a millionaire, someone with extreme power, that's when this one narcissist is going to really look up to you, because power, money, and having, anything wherein you become more powerful than them, that's what makes them feel small. So if you don't have enough funds, if you don't have anything to really prove yourself, the biggest thing you have with you is your own inner peace and power. Okay, so stop reacting to any, make sure that you do your best to diplomatically cut this person out of your life at the earliest. And till the time you are with that person, make sure that you do not fight, you do not engage in any kind of verbal, abusive, argumentative words. Even if it's like social media, don't try posting some, sarcastic quotes or being negative and, trying to lash out at them in a negative way, because then you are again giving them a reaction. So, no reaction, total silence, total cut off. And when they come back to you, you should be the one who first of all should not entertain such person. And if at all they come back to you after 2 months, 2 years, or 3 years, you just act like, you don't take their call, you're very busy. The same treatment, because again, if you go back to them thinking that they have changed, unfortunately, a narcissist is someone who's suffering with an acute mental and mental sickness, and till the time they don't feel broken to an extent that they want to heal, nobody can heal them. So all your attempts should be to heal your own life, to heal your own mental issues, and to make sure that you quickly come into your own power and don't give your power away to someone who's ready to put you down or to feel more powerful by controlling you, by dominating you, by putting you down. Okay, so that is essentially the message that I wanted to share. And but honestly, when I read the perspective coming from a narcissist, it was just very shocking to me that, there are people shameless out there who can just put such things out there and write such things. It is very demeaning, but at the same time, it's that person's path. So what is important is that when you cannot control someone, you can certainly control your own life, your own self. And it doesn't matter whether you are, 25 years old or you are 55 years old, it's never too late. Today is what that matters. And as long as you are using your inner strength to go in the right direction, to put your foot down, to learn from your mistakes, nothing is wrong. Each experience came in our life because it was meant to teach us something. So just be grateful for that experience. Take the learnings that it brought your way. Bless that person who's mentally sick and then just move away from that person, never allowing them to control you ever again in an abusive or any way, right? So that's about it, guys. I mean, thank you so much for listening to this long message. It's almost like 26 minutes long, and I hope you have a great day ahead. And I hope the message has helped someone out there. And anybody that's interested for a reading, you can go through my website, and you can also stay connected with me on my Facebook page, which is open to public. So even if you don't have a Facebook account, it's perfectly okay, because you can always get to read my posts. And on that note, I send you so much love. Take care, guys, and don't give in to any kind of crap. Stay away from any negativity. Have no fears, and tell yourself that you can do anything, okay? And you're a being of light, and you are your own superhero. You have to, there's nothing that can stop you, okay? So take care, guys. Lots of love. Bye.